So my local Omniplex here in Dublin is playing the Conjuring movies in release order every 2 weeks. Last week I got to see the first Conjuring. Last night I got to go see Annabelle. So now I'm going to be talking about Annabelle today. And if you want to see my future thoughts on these movies, click the subscribe button so you can come back in future. So next 2 weeks it'll be the Conjuring 2 and then so on and so forth. Also, fantastic news. I finally got a haircut. So Annabelle was the spin-off to The Conjuring, because in The Conjuring it started off showing the Annabelle doll, and everyone, that was kind of the biggest takeaway from it, is like, what the hell is this doll? And they wanted to see more. So this movie was quickly rushed into production. It only came out 13 months after the first Conjuring, which is it's kind of one of the reasons why this movie is a piece of shit. This movie is absolutely terrible. None of the horror in this movie works. They put a lot of, they go for, one of my compliments in The Conjuring for my review for that one was the fact that a lot of the horror in that movie felt organic. I actually was scared for our characters. I was scared of the scenarios, where this movie 100% relies on loud noises. I seen this in the cinema last night, and as I was watching it, just loud noises was like, holy shit, that was loud. That's all that was scaring me. Nothing about this movie scared me, just the fact that there was loud noise, which your immediate reaction when you hear loud noise is to jump. That is just human instinct. So this movie did not have terrifying elements at all in this movie. All the only things I jumped at, as I said, was the fact that it was just a loud noise. And the characters we are following in this movie, it's a mother and her husband and their child, and they are very boring. They're very formulaic. They're very just generic people. I couldn't tell you anything about their. Actually, I know the father's a nurse or a doctor. No, he's a doctor, and the mother is a stay-at-home mom, and that is it. I couldn't tell you their names, and I only seen this one last night, and I cannot tell you their names. The mother herself is just one of those generic horror movie kind of mothers that she just wants to protect her child, and she'll do anything to protect her child. And then the father, of course, doesn't believe the mother for majority of the movie, so a lot of that doesn't really work. The fact that he's not on board, so I'm not really on board. But of course that would happen. Of course the father's not going to believe straight away that all this happens. But it's just so boring, and the acting in this movie is fucking god awful. They're both, especially him in particular, I just found him to be so dull. Everything he was saying was just so dull for me, so none of it stood out to me. You also have this supporting woman, I can't remember her name, but she was a black older woman, and I enjoyed her character because she had a bit more of a mystery to her. Of course we do find out what happened to her, and then they see what happens to her in the end. I enjoyed her character. So besides those two, the actual couple, I liked her character as well. You do have the priest, who also played Geppetto in Once Upon a Time, so I liked his character just because I recognized him from something else. But his character in this movie, just like the other ones, he's very generic. He does have a bit more to him because of what happens to him, and I do enjoy his character a little bit more than the actual main people. But other than that, the cast in this movie, nothing is incredibly well. But a good benefit, and probably my only benefit to this movie, is the kind of the starting point of this movie, when the actual murders take place next door, and it's like sleeping, of course, and then the husband goes in to see what happens. He comes out covered in blood, and she goes in to call, and then there's two people in her house. That entire sequence works really well for me. I actually really enjoy that sequence, and I feel like if the movie was more like that, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But the fact that it goes from those serial killers to then go into a doll, no, didn't really like that. But if they stuck with the serial killer element of like having that girl and that guy going around killing her, because I actually loved that sequence. I thought that was a great sequence. So I think if they kind of stuck with that, this movie might have been a bit more enjoyable for me. And just something I was noticing when I was watching it, are people actually like that with the dolls? Is there people who have like rooms full of dolls? Because I've got loads of figures, I know, but I think those dolls are just creepy as shit, and I don't understand why someone would want them. Even when she opens up Annabelle for the first time, goes, "Oh my god, I love it," and puts it on the wall next to the other ones, I was thinking, they're fucking creepy. You're not actually gonna put a kid in the room with those, are you? Now, this was my second viewing of Annabelle. When I first seen it, I didn't think it was as bad as this. From memory, I was like, oh yeah, that was fine. It wasn't great, but honestly, it was a fine horror movie. But looking at it now, I was bored out of my mind in the cinema. I checked my phone like almost every 10 minutes to see how long was left, because I was so bored, and you could feel that everyone else in the cinema was just as bored as me. Like, a man literally got up and left for about 10 minutes to go get a drink. He was so bored in the movie. And then there was these girls down the back who kept saying, "Is this almost over?" Because it was so boring. I forgot how boring it is. And a lot of the horror, they try to put a lot of horror elements into it. Like, at one stage she goes down to the basement, and then she just sees this creature that grabs her arm, and then she's running up the stairs, and then the creature follows her up the stairs. All of it does not work. whatsoever. None of the horror elements at all. And then she gets locked into a room and she tries to get in when she's looking under the door and sees her kid sitting there, and all of a sudden the Annabelle doll just falls. All of it, it's just cheap horror. It's all crap horror. And honest to God, none of this horror works. So after seeing The Conjuring in the cinema, I was really pumped to see the rest of these movies. After seeing Annabelle, I'm kind of less enthusiastic to continue on. Of course, I am really excited to see The Conjuring 2 in cinema, the other two Annabelle movies, which I'm a fan of the next two. But then The Curse of La Llorona and The Nun, I'm really not excited to watch those two again. Especially The Nun, which this will be my third time seeing The Nun, and I actually hate The Nun. I will see it in cinema, but I'm really not excited to see The Nun again. But if you have seen Annabelle, let me know your thoughts on Annabelle in the comment section down below. Click the subscribe button so you can come back in 2 weeks' time and see my review for The Conjuring 2 and then the next 2 weeks and all that continuing on. But if you want to see more horror content from me right now, I'm going to leave a link right up here for my review of The Conjuring, and then I'll leave a link right up here for my ranking of all 7 of The Conjuring movies. So if you want to hear my thoughts on all the Conjuring movies before I actually review them, there's a link right up there for my ranking of all of them. But as always, thanks for watching.
I like your dog.